She articulated that my methods were too conventional for the new direction we were taking during my termination. There is a pressing need for leadership that prioritizes digital strategies. I'm Daniel Walsh. For 15 years, I led the Midwest sales division of Light Publishing in Indianapolis. I developed that team from the ground up, transforming a challenged territory into the leading revenue source for the company. I relied on genuine connections, personal interactions, and an understanding of the specific needs of publishers rather than relying on complex software or algorithms. By the end of last year, my division accounted for 60% of the total revenue generated by the company. It appeared that the executive level remained oblivious until the quarterly reports arrived on their desks. Upon stepping into the role of CEO 6 months ago, Olivia Bennett came prepared with PowerPoint presentations and a team of consultants dressed in high-end suits. Each meeting focused on the theme of digital transformation and the disruption of the conventional publishing model. Despite her lack of experience in publishing, having transitioned from a tech company in San Francisco, the board was captivated by her innovative vision. I focused on my work and continued to produce outcomes, yet I sensed her gaze upon me in the leadership meetings. I held the position of the most senior director in the office, uniquely maintaining a physical calendar and opting for in-person client visits rather than relying on Zoom calls. On a Monday morning, the summons arrived. Jason, her assistant, seemed uneasy as he stood at my office door. She would appreciate your presence at 2 o'clock in the executive boardroom. I expressed my gratitude and resumed my conversation with Franklin Press, our most significant client. We were in the process of concluding a 5-year contract extension valued at $12 million, a significant agreement that materialized due to my regular dinners with Charles Franklin every quarter for the past 10 years. The boardroom underwent a transformation following Veronica's arrival. Transparent barriers, sleek furnishings, and an expansive digital screen replacing the conventional meeting table. 3 individuals stood in anticipation: Veronica, Jason, and an unfamiliar face from Human Resources. I had a sense of it even before her words were uttered. Garrett, I truly appreciate all that you've contributed to Light. She began, her hands resting thoughtfully on the table. However, we have chosen to pursue a new path regarding leadership. I absorbed her words as she articulated the ways in which my methods had fallen behind, emphasizing the need for someone who resonated more with their digital-first strategy. Someone of a younger age, though, she was careful not to vocalize that detail. I expressed my gratitude for the opportunity, shook her hand, and exited without engaging in any debate. A decade and a half culminated in a brief 15-minute discussion. What Olivia failed to grasp was that in the realm of publishing particularly, with the long-standing houses that constituted 80% of our business trust, was not cultivated through algorithms or email campaigns. While the rest of the team was enjoying their lunch, I took the opportunity to clear out my desk. There were no farewells, no dramatic moments, just a serene sense of dignity. However, once I reached my car, I found myself sitting there for an extended period fixated on my phone. Charles Franklin had already made 3 missed calls, it seemed. I began my journey at Light during its earlier days, when it was known as Midwestern Literary Partners. A modest operation at that time consisting of only 20 employees and a few regional clients. I transitioned from Heritage Books, following their acquisition by one of the major New York publishing houses. I left behind a prestigious corner office and a lucrative 6-figure salary due to my disdain for the impact corporate publishing was having on the industry. Samuel Light personally selected me for this role. We don't require an individual who can merely analyze data, he had stated. We require an individual who recognizes that books are crafted by those who genuinely value the content within their pages. In the initial 5 years, I meticulously reconstructed the division from the ground up. I traveled 70,000 miles in my car, exploring every independent publisher from Ohio to Nebraska. I was familiar with the names of their partners and children. I attended weddings, funerals, and retirement celebrations, not due to strategy, but because that was our essence. When Samuel stepped down and his son Christopher assumed leadership, we had experienced remarkable growth of 400%. Christopher grasped the intricacies of the business, showing a keen interest in the figures that surpassed his father's focus. He allowed me the freedom to manage things as I saw fit. 3 years ago, when the board began discussions about introducing external leadership to update operations, Christopher opposed their efforts. However, when cancer claimed him last year at the age of 58, there was no one remaining to advocate for the traditional methods. Signs of trouble began to emerge even before Olivia officially joined the team. Board meetings where the term outdated was frequently mentioned. Inquiries regarding the reasons behind our team's lack of engagement with social media and the absence of CRM optimization efforts. Jacob, my assistant director, whom I had been preparing for a future leadership role, began receiving invitations to strategy meetings, from which I was excluded. He would return with his findings, feeling uneasy in his newfound role as a messenger. He mentioned 6 months ago that there were discussions about restructuring, establishing a digital sales team distinct from conventional channels. It was clear that something was amiss. I should have picked up on the signs when they brought in 3 new digital engagement specialists to my team without any prior discussion, or when they began reallocating my long-term clients to this new group without any rationale. Charles Franklin reached out to me directly when they removed his account from my management. A young person reached out to me today, expressing what they had to say. He informed me that he would be taking on the role of my new account manager. They mentioned they were enhancing their customer interface or something along those lines. What's happening over there, Garrett? I simply mentioned it was a matter of reorganization. There's no cause for concern. However, I had some concerns. I found myself at a loss, unsure of how to engage in a struggle, when I lacked comprehension of the tools wielded against me. The morning following my dismissal, I found myself in my home office fixated on my phone. 17 calls that went unanswered, 32 text messages exchanged, 6 emails labeled as urgent, all from clients and industry contacts who had been informed of the news. I had kept it to myself until now. Not even my wife, Catherine, who was away visiting our daughter in Columbus. I preferred to reflect on it by myself initially. The call that ultimately prompted me to answer was from Charles Franklin. What on earth transpired, he inquired, bypassing any form of salutation. They are embarking on a fresh path, I remarked, echoing the company's narrative. That is not accurate. Charles spat. For many of us, you represent that company. Are they truly comprehending that I chose not to respond? Yesterday, I had a conversation with the new guy, and he shared his thoughts. Drew an illustration, dedicated 40 minutes to presenting analytics and engagement metrics. He never inquired about our new historical fiction imprint. The one I mentioned was crucial for us this year. I shut my eyes, feeling an unexpected fatigue that was unrelated to the need for rest. I'm confident they'll find a solution, Thomas. He responded with a firm, "No, they won't. Individuals of that nature often show little interest in understanding what is truly significant. They impose their system and anticipate that everyone will seamlessly adapt." Once the call ended, I powered up my laptop and reviewed the email from Oakenlight HR containing my severance information. Half a year's salary. Temporary health coverage for a duration of 90 days. A clause that prohibits negative statements. Additionally, there was a non-compete clause that restricted me from engaging with any of our clients for a duration of 1 year. I almost found it amusing. They believed that a single document could effectively terminate relationships that had endured for decades. My phone vibrated once more. This time we have Eleanor Jenkins from Riverstone Press contributing her expertise. A significant client has come on board, a bond forged through years of unwavering trust. She remarked, "I heard what happened as soon as I picked up the phone." They are missing out. When you feel prepared to discuss the next steps, feel free to reach out to me. By evening, I had received feedback from 12 key clients, accounting for more than 40% of OakenLight's yearly revenue, all conveying a similar perspective. My allegiance lies with the people, not the organization I would soon leave behind. As the sun dipped below the horizon, I found myself in my backyard, reflecting on the day's events. Sipping on a bourbon, I found myself contemplating an idea that had begun as a mere seed that morning, yet had blossomed with every discussion that followed. They had cast me aside because my approaches didn't align with their gleaming new digital strategy. I focused on cultivating connections rather than just crunching numbers. Due to the fact that my client book was populated with handwritten notes rather than CRM entries. However, what if those traditional approaches were precisely what those clients appreciated? What if the aspect that Olivia Bennett perceived as my flaw was in reality my most significant asset? I reached for my phone and dialed my attorney, Benjamin Weiss. "Ben, could you please take a moment to review something for me?" "A clause that restricts competition." "Did they release you from your position?" he inquired, taken aback. "Indeed they did. I believe this could be the most significant event in my life. I had no desire for retribution. I simply wished to continue with the familiar path I had always followed, assisting publishers in finding the ideal partners. Should OakenLight choose to overlook the importance of that service, many others would certainly appreciate it. That evening, after the termination meeting, I finally experienced a restful night's sleep. 2 weeks following my termination, I had a meeting with Benjamin in his office located downtown. He had examined my non-compete agreement and brought forth unexpected news. He remarked, sliding the document across his desk, that it is fundamentally unenforceable. A significant error was made. The breadth of the scope is excessive. The timeline is extended, and crucially, they cannot restrict your ability to apply your general knowledge and expertise within your field. "Is it possible for me to establish my own consulting firm?" I inquired. "Is that something you could do?" Benjamin acknowledged with a nod. "However, there is a caveat. They will undoubtedly take legal action if you attempt it. Even in defeat, they have the ability to render the journey costly and arduous." I took this into account. OakenLight possessed substantial resources and a board that was quick to act against any perceived threat. What would happen if I chose not to reach out to any clients directly? I inquired. What if I simply make myself available? Benjamin beamed with delight. That presents a completely different narrative. The following day, I submitted the necessary documents to create Walsh Publishing Consultants. Absence of a website, lack of marketing materials, and no outreach campaign in place. Merely a legal entity designed to facilitate payments and offer services. 3 days later, I received a call from Charles Franklin. "I hear you've started your business," he remarked directly. "Information spreads quickly," I responded. "In this industry, spreading rapidly. I would appreciate your assistance with our strategy for the winter catalog. OakenLight's new team is steering us towards academic markets, yet I can't shake the feeling that we should focus more on our historical series. I seek an individual who comprehends both the data and the audience. I'm in the process of determining my next steps, Thomas." He proposed a fee of $15,000 for 2 months of strategic guidance. There is no direct rivalry with OakenLight's offerings. Rather, they assist us in making informed choices. The proposal was quite thoughtful, meticulously designed to steer clear of any direct clashes with my non-compete agreement. Yet I found myself pausing. "I will take some time to reflect on this." "Don't overthink it," Charles advised. "Next week we will be making important decisions." Following our conversation, I was surprised to receive a call from Jacob, my previous assistant director. Would it be possible for us to arrange a meeting? He inquired, his tone subdued. Currently away from the office. A serene location. We settled on a quaint coffee shop close to Eagle Creek Park, far removed from the hustle of downtown and the publishing world. Jacob appeared anxious upon his arrival, frequently glancing over his shoulder. "It's not good," he remarked after we had settled into a corner table. "I've been elevated to your role, but I feel more like a symbolic presence than a true leader. The new digital team is driving all the key decisions." I responded, finding it quite expected. "Actually, it seems there might be a misunderstanding here. They are methodically tearing down all that you have created. All your major accounts have been reassigned to the digital team. They are introducing a compulsory CRM system that the veteran sales representatives are struggling to operate. 3 individuals have already decided to resign." I savored a sip of my coffee, maintaining a calm demeanor. "What about the clients?" I inquired. Jacob surveyed his surroundings once more before leaning in closer. "They are extremely upset. Riverstone is considering a departure. It has been a week since Charles Franklin last responded to calls. The quarterly projections are alarming. What about Veronica attributing fault to the change? It is anticipated that there will be some turbulence." He paused thoughtfully. "However, there is additional information to consider. They are observing your every move. The legal team convened yesterday to discuss your non-compete agreement. There are worries that you could attract clients away from them." At this moment, I grasped the depth of his paranoia. He was jeopardizing his new role to alert me. "I appreciate you sharing this with me, Jacob." He acknowledged with a nod, then smoothly pushed an envelope across the table. "List of client contacts, revised, including personal emails and cell numbers." He rose to depart. "Our paths did not cross today, and I did not provide you with this." Once he departed, I lingered for an extended period contemplating the envelope as I turned it over in my hands. Utilizing this information would align perfectly with Oakenlight's concerns. As anticipated, such a situation could warrant legal action taken against me, perhaps even in opposition to Jacob. They had devised a cunning strategy predicting my forthcoming action. This indicated that I had to create an entirely new one. The envelope was left on the table, unblemished, as I stepped outside. 1 month has gone by. Despite receiving daily calls from publishers seeking assistance, I had not reached out to any Oakenlight clients. I gracefully redirected the conversation, referencing professional factors. While the non-compete may have its shortcomings, I wasn't prepared to push its boundaries. I directed my attention towards industry connections beyond Oakenlight's clientele. Independent publishers that are small in scale, academic publishing houses, literary agents seeking valuable direction, tasks that would avoid legal complications while allowing me to remain actively involved in the profession I was passionate about. Then arrived the invitation that took me by surprise. Harold Blackwood, the chairman of Oakenlight's board, requested a private meeting, currently away from the office, at his establishment in the heart of the city. I agreed primarily out of a sense of curiosity rather than any other motivation. The Indianapolis Gentlemen's Association exuded an atmosphere of rich, dark wood and hushed dialogues. Harold, at the age of 70, and with his silver hair gleaming, sat patiently in a private room where 2 tumblers of scotch were already poured, awaiting the moment to unfold. "Thank you for joining me, Garrett," he said, motioning toward the chair across from him. "I can sense your curiosity about the reason behind my desire to meet." I found myself pondering that idea. He slid one of the glasses in my direction. "Developments at Oakenlight are not unfolding as anticipated." I took a small sip, remaining silent. Harold continued, noting that revenue has decreased by 38% this quarter. The current state of client retention has reached an unprecedented low in the history of the company. The digital initiative intended to revolutionize our business model has unfortunately distanced us from our core client base. That's quite unfortunate, I responded with a sense of neutrality. Harold observed me intently. Your reaction appears quite composed. Publishing thrives on the connections we build. It has consistently been the case. I'm in the process of gaining knowledge. He inclined his body slightly forward. The board has expressed concerns regarding Veronica's leadership capabilities. While her strategies may have proven effective in the tech industry, the dynamics of publishing are distinct and require a different approach. What prompts you to share this information with me? We genuinely hope to see you again. In the organizational structure, the Chief Revenue Officer holds a position above Veronica. I gazed at him, contemplating the proposal. What is the status of my replacement? Jacob is a decent individual, yet he lacks the depth of your client connections and the expertise in the industry. What about Veronica? Would she really agree to this arrangement? Harold's demeanor grew stern. She found herself with no other option. Everything clicked into place. This seems to go beyond just the revenue for this quarter, doesn't it? This has been developing over an extended period. Harold let out a deep sigh, revealing the cracks in his facade. Olivia was brought on board by William. His final significant choice prior to his health deteriorating beyond control. The board held some reservations, yet we chose to defer to him in a show of respect. Following his passing, we provided her with a chance to demonstrate her capabilities. She has not done so. What about my termination? The board did not grant approval. We received the information post-event, along with several other notable organizational changes. I took a moment to reflect, grasping the complete perspective at last. Olivia was in the process of removing William's associates, substituting them with her own selections. My dismissal had nothing to do with digital transformation. The focus was on eliminating those who remained faithful to the former leadership. Harold elaborated on the offer, describing it as quite generous. Increase your prior earnings significantly, take charge of sales and client interactions, and enjoy the board's complete support to revamp your team. It encompassed all that I ought to have desired. Justification, influence, protection. I require some time to reflect, I stated. Certainly, but please be mindful of the time. The circumstances are worsening at an alarming pace. As I made my way home, I reflected deeply on the conversation we had. The board had come to the realization that they had erred in their decision regarding my termination. From the outset, they were aware of the wrongdoing, yet they found themselves lacking the bravery to put an end to it, now that it was impacting their financial performance. They suddenly sought my return. Additionally, there was another aspect to consider. There was an unspoken understanding in what Harold conveyed, even if he hadn't articulated it directly. They expected me to take on the role of the enforcer, to return and deconstruct all that Olivia had created, and ultimately Olivia herself. My relationship skills were not the reason for their interest in me. They sought me out for my client roster and the unwavering loyalty that accompanied it. The understanding didn't evoke any anger within me. It clarified my next steps with a great certainty. The following morning, I politely declined Harold's offer with a concise email. His reply arrived in mere minutes. A proposal to enhance the compensation package even more. I chose not to respond. In lieu of other options, I opted to make 3 phone calls. The initial one was directed to Charles Franklin. I'm prepared to talk about the consulting arrangement I mentioned, but I would like to propose an alternative approach. I'm all ears, he remarked. I will not be providing exclusive consulting services for Franklin Press. Rather, I am establishing a collaborative group of independent publishers that pool their resources, distribution networks, and market insights. No extended agreements. Free from corporate red tape. It's all about publishers supporting one another, with me playing a role in facilitating those connections. Then there was a profound stillness on the line. How many others have you reached out to? There are currently no entries. You are the initial point of contact. Was it because I was your most significant client? Given my confidence in your judgment, I made the necessary corrections. If you believe this is a promising approach, I will proceed accordingly. If that's the case, I'll continue with conventional consulting methods. Charles acted without a moment's pause. Count me in. I'm aware of at least 5 others who would feel the same way. I made my second call to Eleanor Jenkins at Riverstone Press. As anticipated, she not only welcomed the consortium concept, but also proposed enhancements to the framework, such as a collaborative digital platform that would enable smaller publishers to achieve the outreach of a larger entity while maintaining their autonomy. The third call was made to Benjamin, my attorney, to confirm that the plan wouldn't breach my non-compete agreement. He confirmed after hearing the details that you are not working for their clients. You're establishing a completely unique organization that clients have the option to become a part of. The difference may be nuanced, yet it carries significant legal implications. In just a fortnight, Walsh Publishing Consortium successfully gathered 7 founding members. All previous clients of Oakenlight who had either already departed or were intending to do so upon the expiration of their contracts. Each provided support for an operational fund that would ensure my salary and the essential infrastructure required. The essence of the strategy extended beyond merely establishing a rival entity. It was crafting something that Oakenlight found challenging to duplicate, a collaborative framework that allows publishers to retain their autonomy while enjoying the advantages of shared resources. I wasn't officially designated as CEO or bestowed with an impressive title. I played the role of a facilitator, acting as the connector who grasped the needs of each member and identified who could fulfill them. We secured a humble office space in Broad Ripple, distancing ourselves from the bustling downtown business district where Oakenlight and various corporate publishers congregated. I brought on board 2 new team members, a recent college graduate to manage communications and social media, and a seasoned publishing operations manager who, despite retiring, was eager to continue contributing in a meaningful way. The news circulated rapidly among the tightly connected publishing community. At the conclusion of the initial month, an additional 3 publishers became part of the consortium. By the conclusion of the second phase, it became necessary for us to move into more spacious offices. I took great care to avoid directly approaching Oakenlight's clients. I found it unnecessary. They approached us intrigued by the success stories circulating and the challenges they faced with a digital-first strategy that overlooked the essential personal connections in publishing. One evening in late September, 2 months post-launch, Jacob reached out. Without any introduction, he stated, "They are aware of your actions. Olivia is filled with rage. She is discussing the possibility of pursuing legal action." I assured them with a composed demeanor that we have not breached any agreements. She remains undeterred in her efforts. He took a moment to reflect. A board meeting is scheduled for tomorrow. The upcoming quarterly results are likely to present a challenging picture. That no longer occupies my thoughts, Jacob. I understand, however. He paused, contemplating his next move. I wanted to share this with you. I would like to inquire if there is an opportunity for one more participant in your new endeavor. I have reached my limit in this situation. I found myself smiling quietly. Everything unfolded precisely as I had envisioned. It wasn't out of a desire for revenge, but rather from a deep understanding of the industry that Olivia could never grasp. I suggested he stop by the office tomorrow. We will have a discussion. The quarterly earnings call in October revealed a narrative that the figures unequivocally convey. Oakenlight Publishing has experienced a significant decline in revenue, reporting a 45% decrease compared to the same quarter last year. Their stock experienced a significant decline of 17% within just one day. I did not personally listen to the call. During a strategy meeting with 15 consortium members, we were collaboratively planning our approach for the upcoming industry conference in Chicago when Charles sent me the key highlights. Olivia attributes the situation to market disruption and transitional challenges. There seems to be a notable absence of discussion regarding the significant departure of their largest clients. Later that afternoon, my phone rang with an unfamiliar number. Could this be Daniel Walsh? A voice distinctly feminine inquired, articulating thoughts. This is Patricia Harrington, representing the Oakenlight Board of Directors. Her tone was precise and professional. I wanted to reach out and let you know that we've made the decision to waive your non-compete agreement. With immediate effect, our legal team has been empowered to draft a cease and desist notice concerning what we believe to be wrongful interference with our client relationships. I paused, allowing the quiet to linger. Mr. Walsh, do you have any thoughts to share? Finally, I posed a single question. Have you had a direct conversation with your clients, not via account managers or satisfaction surveys? I took the time to engage with Charles Franklin and Eleanor Jenkins to understand their reasons for leaving. That doesn't pertain to... That's the sole aspect that truly matters, I interjected. They didn't depart due to my initiation of something fresh. They departed as Oakenlight ceased to appreciate what was truly important to them. After a brief pause, she remarked that the board meeting is still ongoing. We would greatly appreciate your presence to share your thoughts with us directly. Thank you for the invitation. However, I am currently engaged in another meeting, featuring 15 publishers who have embraced an alternative approach. Her silence stretched on for what felt like an eternity, leading me to wonder if the call had disconnected. Understanding dawned on her as she concluded the conversation and ended the call. The anticipated cease and desist never materialized. 3 days later, the business section of the Indianapolis Star featured the headline, Oakenlight CEO steps down amid financial turbulence. Half a year after launching the Walsh Publishing Consortium, we established ourselves in permanent offices within a beautifully renovated warehouse in Fountain Square. Currently, there are 23 member publishers, along with a growing waiting list of others eager to join. We have broadened our reach beyond Indiana to encompass small and mid-sized publishers across the Midwest. The sector had caught wind of the developments. We received recognition in Publishers Weekly and the business section of the New York Times. A transformative shift in the publishing landscape, as one headline described it. I never intended to spark a movement. My goal was simply to safeguard what I understood to be effective. Yet there are moments when traditional methods regain their transformative power as individuals rediscover their original significance. On a Tuesday morning, Harold Blackwood made a call. Oakenlight has appointed a new CEO, a long-standing member of the company who has been with them for decades and has risen through the ranks. He stated directly that he wanted to explore the potential for Oakenlight to become a member of your consortium. I found myself smiling quietly. That approach isn't quite accurate, Harold. We are not bringing on board members of your scale. It seems that a collaborative partnership might be the way forward. I assured him that I would present it to our leadership council, even though I was already aware of the likely outcome. The publishers who joined us did so specifically to distance themselves from the corporate mindset that Oakenlight embodied. Following the call, I made my way through our expansive office area. I have no interest in the executive suite. Merely a desk among many, yet it served as a space where I could engage in the daily dialogues that bound us to what truly mattered. Jacob raised his gaze from his workstation. Is everything all right? I simply nodded in agreement. Oakenlight expressed his desire to join the consortium with a chuckle. reflect on the journey that brings us back to where it all began. Later that afternoon, I made my way to Eagle Creek Park and settled by the water's edge. The very place I would visit to reflect when challenges at Oakenlight felt insurmountable. However, today presented a rare moment devoid of challenges to address. There's a profound sense of contentment in realizing that what I've created will endure. Not due to its revolutionary or disruptive nature, but rather because it was founded on principles that remain constant. Individuals placing their trust in those who have rightfully earned it. There are instances when losing your job can lead to unexpected opportunities and personal growth. Not due to a desire for revenge, but because it compels you to create something more genuine than what you once had.